Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another episode of Porn Star Confessions. Today I've got the lovely Lindsey Lakes. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having
Of
me.
course, by the way, you can vape, so don't worry. Um,
Okay, I was like, grab him.
so first question, how old are you?
I'm 25.
25.
But if you use the Wii Fit, like the whole Wii Fit thing, I'm probably like 40.
What's Wii Fit?
Like the Nintendo Wii used to have this thing where it would like tell you how old your body is based off like your balance and based off of like your fitness level. So I have a 40-year-old fitness level, but a 25-year-old technically.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I just felt like I'd disclose that.
Okay. Well, I've never heard of that, but all right. Yeah, no. If I did that, it'd probably say I was 60.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough out here.
So how did you first get into porn? Like, how did you get?
Uh, so I started out in May and it really just all like I was doing OnlyFans and everything and I just had some issues with my account with OnlyFans, so I like restart everything. And so then like while I was in the process of restarting, I was like looking for people to like collab with and everything. And then I was like, ew, not ew, but I was like, I didn't know anybody. And so I was like, well, why don't I just try porn? Because everyone's tested, everyone's like this. And so I started porn in May
Okay. So how
and haven't looked back.
how did you start OnlyFans though? Like, how did you start sex work? Period.
Um, so I started OnlyFans last November and I was working at this restaurant because I've always been in the restaurant industry. And so I was like, the restaurant was slowing down. We were in our slow season. And I was like, I'm going to lose my job. I need to figure out how to make money. And so I was like, well, I can do OnlyFans because then it's like, kind of more secretive. So I can try that out. So then I started doing OnlyFans and I really, really liked it and just didn't really look back.
Okay. But how'd you first get the idea though? Like, did someone
It started
mention
out as a
it to you,
joke.
or do you have like clients who are like, oh, do
Um,
you have an OnlyFans?
no, it was more of like started out as a joke. And then at my restaurant, this one girl, like they hired this one girl and she was like, oh, I actually do have an OnlyFans. I was like, oh, really? And then she was like, yeah, you should really do it. And then so she kind of helped me like start like how you're supposed to do it and everything. Because I've always been just like a horny motherfucker anyway. And, my mom always told me if you're good at something, don't do it for free. So I just kind of put all that together and was just like, maybe sex work is where I should be this whole time.
Okay. Did you have any concerns though going into it? Because society kind of has a double edged or a double standard when it comes to men and women, that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
So honestly, I probably should have had more concerns just because of my upbringing. It was is very like old Southern, like Pentecostal, all that like loveliness. And so I really should have had more of like a holdback with it. But I think because I grew up in that environment and because like I saw that no matter what you do, people are going to judge you anyway, and they're always going to find something to talk about. I was like, I would rather if people are judging me or think I'm a slut or whatever, have proof. Like, yeah, I am a slut, like, here's this. Like, thank you for noticing me. Versus like talking behind my back and being like, oh my God, she's like so slutty. She's doing this. She like did this. I would rather be like, yeah, I did. Here's the video. And if you want to see it, you can pay me $20, So, so that's just how I looked at it. I don't know. I know that a lot of people were like, oh, like people are gonna like judge you and listen. I'm like, people have been judging me all my life anyway for stuff I never even did. So I might as well just do what I want to do, make a little cash, and then maybe make some good videos. I can look back when I'm old and decrepit and be like, oh, I was hot at one time. Yeah.
Hell, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah. Well, it's true, especially when you're like a girl. Like I grew up with very, very um like old school Duggar style like standards for how to be a girl. Like my parents got me a book when I was
What
6
is
called
Duggar?
The Princess Kiss. The Duggars is like that giant family that like everyone had to wear like homeschooled, wear like the long skirts and everything like that. It was just like super religious. That's how we were. Um, it was intense. So I think it, and people are like, it's a rebellious thing why you liked fucking so much. And I'm like, I don't really think it was necessarily that. I think I just always like if things didn't make sense to me, and if you had a rule and I asked you why and you couldn't come up with a good answer, I was just gonna do what I wanted to
Okay.
do. I don't think that's rebellious.
You said she bought you a book, The Princess what?
So it's called The Princess Kiss, and it was 6 years. I was 6 years old, and it had my name, like, like engraved on it. And this whole book was about this princess, and you only have one kiss in your life, one kiss to give to somebody. And this rich guy came, but he didn't love her, and like blah blah blah. It's all about like basically like you have one shot. You have one shot to find like the perfect person to give up your like kiss slash virginity to. So like be careful who you give it to or all this. But basically, then in the book, there's a girl who like gave it right way to the wrong person, and she's shunned, she's shamed, she's a broken woman. And so like, yeah,
Wow.
pretty intense for a 6-year old, I'm not gonna lie.
Damn.
I was like, damn, this is a lot of pressure.
So because I've always thought like Baptists are like the most conservative of Christians, but I think Pentecostal might actually be worse, right?
It depends. So I feel like in all religions, there's always going to be that like scale of like by like I'm just like this religion or denomination by name, and then I'm this by like extremist. My parents were very like, um, and we grew up in a very like extreme version of just Christianity in general. Like we went to a Pentecostal church because they're pretty intense, but they also like we did like messianic stuff. So we're not Jewish, but we would do like Jewish holidays because they just want to add more religions to do. So we would do like Sabbath, Passover. We did Hanukkah when I was like 4, apparently. I don't remember that. But yeah. So it was pretty much just like anything that could just like add more religion, they would just do. Which I'm like, maybe we could have a new tradition. Like, most families like take their kids out to Disney. We, celebrated holidays for religion we weren't even a part of.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't really like. I look back at like all of that, and I don't know. It's not. I guess it's like I like traditions and stuff like that. So in some aspects, I'm like, we had that like close knit kind of thing. Just got a little bit toxic there towards the end, but yeah.
So what's your relationship like with your parents now?
Um. So it's interesting. It's like so I ended up telling my mom in like okay, that's like a month into the industry, like what I was doing because I wanted them to hear it from me. And I was like, I have 6 sisters and a brother, and like just a huge ass family. And so I was like, more than likely they're gonna find out,
Yeah.
right? So I went ahead and told her, and I mean, like, she was upset, but the concerns for her was mostly like any kind of parent would be like safety, like, like who's checking up on you. And then it was interesting though, because she was more like, she's like, I feel like you shouldn't be doing mainstream porn. She's like, because she wanted me to own the content. I was like, what? She's like, yeah. She was like, I would rather you be doing like OnlyFans or other stuff so you can at least own it and like all of this instead of like working for other people and not having control of how it's advertised. So that was interesting to me on her perspective of that. My dad didn't find out until like a few weeks ago, and that was really that was really hard. But we still play Wordle together,
What's
so
that?
we just don't talk about it. Wordle is like a little Scrabble game, like
Oh,
from the New York Times. Yeah. So I mean, like I think it's like we always had kind of like a strained relationship, like since I was like an adult and everything. So it's just kind of trying to find a way to like you know, love and respect each other, but within like our own boundaries. Because I'm not going to change the way they think about everything, and they're not going to change the way I think about everything. So kind of like the middle ground
yeah.
with that.
Wow. I mean, I'm really impressed with your mom's reaction. I mean, because
Yeah.
like she almost came at it from like a very entrepreneurial mindset. Like if you're gonna do this,
Hmm.
you know, apply the right business practices to it, and
Yeah.
that's especially
Yeah.
given how religious and everything they are.
I know. Yeah, it was interesting because with her thing, like she's known me since I was born. It's been a while, and so with her thing, she's just like she's never liked the concept of working for anybody. Like she was always like she was mainly a stay-at-home mom, but she always found ways to make money, like because there were so many of us, so we were a little broke. And so like she like ran her own like house cleaning business and would like cook for people, like private chef kind of thing. And so for her thing, it's like, you are the like how you put yourself in the world, how you brand yourself is always going to be the most important. And whenever you work for other people, you're a little more like constricted or whatever into like how they can perceive you, which is true because you can make like a video and you're like, oh, this is great, and then you see like how they caption it or whatever and you're like, what? But that goes for collabs too. People do that too. So it's kind of just like, owning what you do and owning your work.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, fuck. As a dad myself, honestly, I mean, your dad handled it pretty well.
I mean, he was, that was probably like the one moment where I was just like, I don't know if I can like, because that was like the first time I saw them in like 3 years. My mom got sick. And so I had to go down to South Carolina. And that was like the first time like I've seen them in years. And he like, I don't know. It was really hard seeing how my dad was like taking everything and all that. But he never really like um I don't know, it wasn't like he was angry at me, he was just like sad and I was like, I can't handle this. Because like I've always been like, I guess like the black sheep, but I've always known that I'm like the favorite kid, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like they're like, oh, because it's like, I think for myself, I do my own thing. And I think like as much as they hate that sometimes, they like respect it because they know it's like, okay, like at least she's being her. Um, but yeah, I can see like, and I know his pain and I know why like he feels that way, which is why like like I still have that relationship with both of them. It's just I kind of keep like the sex work life and the Lindsay life separate from all their
Yeah.
stuff. And the only reason I told them was out of respect because I didn't want I didn't want somebody else to bring that to them and then be like, what? I wanted them to kind of be prepared.
Yeah. No, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I mean, that would just be hard because, if you have a girl, it's, your daddy's princess. Like, I feel like it's different if you have a son. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he has 7 daughters,
Oh,
so
fuck
he's got a
that.
few. So, if one out of seven is a porn star, one of them is, like they're also like super like, they're not necessarily down for the LGBT. One of my siblings is, she's a lesbian. So it's like, if only 2 out of 7 they see as sinful, that's really not a bad ratio
Okay.
if you really think about it. So,
Okay.
um yeah.
So what's worse, being gay or the porn? Or are they on the
I
same
got in
level?
trouble with my sister for asking that because I was on the phone with her after I told my parents, and I was like, so like I was like, do you think like who's going to hell first, me or you? Just out of curiosity. Like, am I worse off than you or you? And then she got so mad at me. I was like, I don't know, just asking. But I think in their eyes, like what I'm doing, they see as like um a little bit worse just because like I'm like I owned it and I acknowledged it, and so it's like in their head I'm like consciously deciding to sin
Yeah.
versus like
Okay.
her thing. But sin is all sin, it's all the same.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So, like, growing up in that deeply of a religious background, are you still religious now or no?
No, I'm not. I'm like, I don't even want to say spiritual. I think I'm just like more mindful about everything, agnostic at most. I do think just like the way like the world works and the way like humanity is, you do have to have something to ground you. And for a lot of people, the easy answer for that is going to be religion. For some people, it's not religion. It's something like, they're like very strict about like their workout schedule or like whatever. Like, but at the end of the day, it's just having that one base where when everything else is going to shit, you're like, this is something that I can trust is real. So
I like that.
for me now, yeah.
That makes sense.
For me, it's the Kardashians. I just like, I know that at the end of the day, I can always just rely on the Kardashians to make me feel a little more sane.
Really? Okay, I'm sorry.
Don't get me
E-
started on the
Explain that one.
Kardashians.
You got
Okay, so I think they're so funny, and I think that they're just like insane at the same time. And so sometimes whenever I just want to feel a little more like I just like read up about them, see what they're doing. I wanted to start a podcast like called the like that was like going to be like a style of a Bible study, but about the Kardashian episode, and just really look at it as like,
Okay.
you know,
I mean, they are marketing geniuses. I will give them that. They know
they are,
exactly what they're
yeah.
doing.
No, I was like literally like I was like talking to somebody and I was like, they don't even I was like, they don't argue like they're fucking sisters. They argue like they're coworkers or like they're like, I don't know, some like something. They argue and fight and all their drama is like coworker drama. I'm like, I want to see the real shit. I want to see the like drama. I want to see the sister drama. And they're gonna crack. Eventually they're gonna crack. And we're gonna get to see the real stuff. So
I don't know.
I'm
I
in it
would
for the long
argue
haul.
nothing they do is an accident. Everything is calculated and
Yeah,
methodical. You know, but
unfortunately.
yeah. So you said like, how did you phrase it? That sexually you've always been. Did that start before OnlyFans?
Yeah, so it was way before OnlyFans. So I don't know. I feel like I really like had my sexual awakening after high school. I was a really good like student, you know, like I did like cross country, I did track, and I was focused on school. Like I didn't talk to anybody in high school
Wow.
like um as far as that. I was homeschooled until junior year and then I went to a charter school to take college classes. So I was like, I was not focused on that. And I was very like, I need to study, I need to do this. And then I like waited until I was 19. Yeah, 19 to lose my virginity. I lost it on the solar eclipse. And yeah.
So what?
And then it was like all downhill from there.
I was gonna say, what was the straw that
And then
broke
I
the
went crazy.
camel's back that made you go off the path?
So I basically it started like around like when I like after high school when I graduated. I was in college, taking some like college classes, living at home, working, doing all of that. And I like um had a friend who was my brother-in-law's brother, so like my sister's husband's
Yeah.
brother. It's we're not related. We're not that southern. Um and I would always hang out with him and I would just like always blah blah blah. And I knew and I'll smoke weed with him. Like I knew that he wanted to like fuck me or want something more, but I also knew that like he wasn't gonna do anything because like, you know, that weird relationship kind of thing. And my parents and everybody like they thought I was fucking him all the time, and they were like, "Oh, like you're like you know sinning, like you're like having sex, you're going to these parties, you're doing crazy." When in reality, I was hanging out with like just this bum of a dude who was just smoking weed all the time, and I was like, you know, 18, 19, so I was like, whatever, it's fun. But they kicked me out, and I ended up moving in with him,
Your
and
parents kicked you
I
out?
just at that yeah, my parents kicked me out because they were like, you're just, you can't live here and have that lifestyle and blah, blah, blah. And they didn't even know I was smoking weed. They just assumed like I was just doing bad shit because they couldn't contain me. And so I ended up moving in with him. And about 2 months after that, I was like, I think I'm just like a really horny. I think I'm pent up. And I was like, I remember it like it was yesterday. I started feeling sick. Like I was like, had a little, little cough, a little everything. And I was like, I'm going to make you really sick right now. And then I started like, I made out with him. That was actually like my first kiss ever with a guy. And then I lost my virginity to him.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You that long for your first kiss?
Yeah, I told you about the book I grew up reading. It was stressful.
Okay.
Like, I was like, I'm a Capricorn, so I was like, fuck, I only have one shot, only one shot to pick the right guy. Like, I'm gonna have to wait on this shit. And then I waited, and I realized, why did I wait so long? But
Okay. So then where did it go from there?
we ended up dating like for like 3, 6 months, something like that. It was kind of like an off and on thing. And then I ended up, um, after we ended up breaking up, I just went through kind of like a major like slut phase where I was just like catching bodies left and right. I was swiping all the fucking time. And it was fun. It was fun. Like I'm not gonna lie. I was just like because I was like, oh my gosh, the world is my oyster. And like because after like we broke up, I ended up moving in with like a coworker, and we were both doing that. It was almost like a game. It was like, oh, like what can we do? Like, oh my gosh, like we can have any guy we want, and so got a little crazy.
Okay. So I've read a study on this, and I'm curious if, all right. So when you're on the dating apps, Tinder, whatever, hookup, what percentage of the men would you say you swiped on?
It depends, like on the moment, like what I'm actually on Tinder for. Because if you actually take the time and read the bios and like read everything and really look at the pictures, it gets depressing. So I usually would go like just like click through like a few pictures, swipe it, and just like I like to swipe right on pretty much everybody, and then see who messages me, and then go off of that because it's like I don't have time to sit there and read bios and deal with all this shit. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? So I would just be swiping.
Okay. Yeah,
But yeah, I do agree that most of the girls are a little more strategic whenever they swipe.
yeah. I mean, I the study I read said your average guy swipes on 60% of female profiles. The average woman swipes on 4%.
Yeah. Well, I think that is part of the reason is because when it comes to like types, I feel like a lot of girls, especially like in that age range of like I would say 18 to 25, are a lot more like strict on their type. Like when I was like 19, I would be like, I only want to be with someone who's over 6'4", who is like, a linebacker or like some kind of football player, a basketball player. Like, you know what I mean? Very, very strict. Where now I'm like, like I had my first collab with someone who was in their like 60s or whatever, and I'm like, is this my new type? Like, I don't understand anymore. So it's like, I think when girls, especially when they're younger, they're a lot more strict on their type, and guys are like, they have a type, but they're also like, a pretty woman's a pretty woman. So it's like maybe you like more of an alternative look, but fuck, if you see somebody like, I don't know, let's say the Kim Kardashian or whatever. It's not like you're not going to swipe on Kim Kardashian because you prefer someone with tattoos. Objectively, she's really hot. So, and guys are just generally a little more, I feel like, I guess in the civilian world, a little more just down to just fuck than most girls.
Yeah.
But
I,
yeah, I think that's just the only reason.
I would agree with that. So, when did your I'm glad you brought that up though about types. When do you feel like that shifted for you? Because, all right, there's a really interesting TED talk. And it's this woman who is looking for love, and she's a mathematician, right? And she lives in New York, and there's like 20 million people there, whatever. So she isn't having any luck dating, and so she uses math to see how many potential matches are out there. So kind of like you were saying, I
Mm-hmm.
want
Yeah.
someone who is white, someone who's 6 feet or taller, so blah blah blah. And she starts adding these and crunching the data. So let's say 20 million people lived in New York. She found that there were six guys, six out of 20 million. And basically, the moral of the story, she's like, holy shit, I need to be more forgiving on these. So I'm wondering,
Yeah.
when did that start to shift for you? Like, was there a straw that broke the camel's back?
Um, I don't know. I feel like not really. It just kind of happened naturally where I realized that like if the vibe is there, the vibe is there. And I don't really like limiting myself to a type. Like when I see myself with someone, I do have that image of like a y'all alternative, kind of you know what I mean? Like the country boy who's like kind of mad and has all those tattoos and is just like fuck everybody. Like cuz I like grumpy guys. They're just funny to me because I'm like I want to be the happiest thing in your life, and so like if I don't want to compete with you and your happiness. So but now I don't. I was like, I like it when they're slightly depressed because then they're not gonna fucking leave me. Where else are they gonna go? But yeah, I don't know when it kind of shifted. I think porn honestly kind of helped because like you're put in, when you get booked for a scene or whatever, you're like put with all different kinds of people, and it's hard to really tell like if their chemistry is going to be there or not going to be there. Um, But yeah,
So part of it was aging, part of it was porn, part of it was maturing.
yeah. And I don't really even think that like it's like a when you broaden your horizons and broaden your type that it's like a lowering of standard. I think it's just opening up the standard and finding out what's important. Like, is height really more important than if somebody's like a lunatic? No. Like, I would rather be with someone who's 5'8" and not crazy than someone who's 6'8" and is fucking bipolar. Like, nothing wrong being bipolar. Just saying. That's me. But yeah, like I think it's just like there's so many more important things than something that you can just tell like on a fucking dating app.
Yeah. I like that.
I'm just really mature like that. Yeah.
No, I like that though, as far as it's not lowering your standards, it's opening up possibilities.
Well, especially because I'm just, convinced. I watched a lot of pretty women in my day. You can make any guy hotter. You can really encourage that shit. If you can get him to wife you up, let's say he's too skinny, honey, I'm gonna be making you fried chicken and collard greens. It's not a big fucking deal. If you're too fat, honey, we're only eating grilled chicken and we're doing intermittent fasting. Like you're in so much more control of how hot somebody is than you think. Just saying. Subliminal messaging.
Mm.
Hey, I'm gonna go get some Botox. Want to join me? It's buy one get one free. You know what I'm saying? Like you can make people hotter. So that's not really a big deal to me at all.
Oh,
And if you want to give it and a really old guy, maybe you can't. Maybe it's too late. Maybe he's 80 and he's ugly. Girl, that's a short-term investment. You only got like 10, 15 years, maybe less. So I mean, just people need to be more positive.
oh my god. No, I'm like dying over here because like I agree with you.
I should give JD
I'm
advice.
just blown away that you're saying it out loud.
I told you I'm probably going to be canceled, but it's okay. But it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, and at the end of the day, love is love. And so if you can find someone that you can love, maybe they're not super hot, make them hotter, or just not wear your glasses when you have sex with them so you can't really see them that well. There's always ways to win.
Um, no, and also too, like when you get to really know someone, if you respect and admire them, your attraction will grow like
Yeah.
immensely.
Now here's another, as far as girls go, I do think that in order for a relationship to fully work, the guy has to love the girl way more than the girl likes the guy. Because in my experience, girls can learn to grow to love someone based off consistency and based off like learned chemistry. And guys, they'll like max out on how much they like you within like the first 8 weeks. But that's just my experience. But I think relationships work better whenever the guy loves the girl more.
Mm, I,
Oh, controversy.
no,
Controversy.
I'm like sitting here and I'm really thinking about this. For those of you watching, let us know what you think in the comments. But I get why you would say that. I get why you would say that. I just know that for me, that's not true. But I've always been not like most guys. I feel like, but yeah, no, I definitely see why you can say that. I mean,
Maybe I just have daddy issues. I don't know.
whoever though, I mean, you definitely can't have a major mismatch. If like one
Oh
person
yeah,
loves
for
the
sure.
other person way more, and this person is just kind of like, yeah, that's fucked from the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Shit. I feel like most women though too don't value physical looks as much as men do. Because
Yeah.
like men, it's all about okay, I'll give you a perfect example. A guy would give two shits if a woman is working at McDonald's. Like I think men value A looks, B one thing that I think you have in spades, which is just positivity. Like you were saying, like
Yeah.
men want a woman who's happy and full of life and positive and
Mm-hmm.
that yeah. They're not going to care if a woman's working at McDonald's. However, a woman dating a guy that's working at McDonald's, I don't care how good looking he is. I don't see it. I think women value
Yeah.
status and personality traits and job and all that stuff a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I think that, like, as far as guys go, like, they have so much, like, just like, you know, I guess, like, biologically hold in so much stress and so much pressure, and they see, like, expressing their problems as weakness. And so they're already holding all that in. And so whenever like a girl comes into their life and starts being like, I have this issue, I have this, I have that, it just to them that just piles it on, and it's just too much, and that's why they tend to back off when that happens. Um and so I think it's about like, balancing that
Yeah.
out a little bit. But I don't know, because I feel like, yeah, I think that like too, just like society wise, like most women are gonna care about status and everything else because it's like what you bring to the table and like what I bring to the table, like they want it to be like at least even. But yeah. I don't know. I just like I don't know. I never went out with. I went out with my last boyfriend. Was like lived with his parents. Was like dropping out of school all the time and a complete bum. And I was like his sugar mama. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just different. I don't care about status, or maybe I don't know how that
Are you
happened.
still young though? That's
I know. I'm trying to grow up. It's so hard. I get closer every day.
you've also had a very different upbringing and background than a lot of women. Like
Yeah, that's true.
I guess okay, here's a perfect example, and I'll just preface this by saying I'm not fat shaming or anything like that. I'm just saying what the
Mm-hmm.
average person thinks. If you take your average woman who looks at like Ed Sheeran or Jonah Hill or the lead singer Maroon,
Michael Cera.
yeah, they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, he's so sexy." No, he's not. You just think he's
Yeah,
attractive because he's, you know, whatever celebrity or whatever singer. However, on the flip side, I don't see dudes banging down the doors of Lizzo. Do you
true.
see what I mean? I don't think men value that status at all.
But it's kind of annoying because there is that, because of that, and that is the reality of how the world works. There's so much, I feel like, pressure when you're like a woman and you're younger to be hot and get that successful man like earlier, because it's like once you're like, keep aging, you're just aged, and that's not a problem, but it's like, your sexual market
Yeah.
value, whatever people call it, kind of goes down. So then you have all this pressure, whereas guys, you could like slowly get more of that value
Hmm.
later. And so it's like you have to find someone in the middle,
Yeah. No, it's true.
because it's like,
Well, yeah, because generally speaking, a woman's SMV decreases as she ages,
yeah.
whereas a man's increases.
Exactly.
Also, interesting, I forget who I was interviewing, but they were saying that marriages that start after like 30 or 35, the divorce rate drops to like less than 10%.
I think that's because they like everybody, when people are younger, they tend to be married based off of like love or based off of this, and not really think they don't think about the long term. When I feel like the older you get, you can see marriage as a lot of different things. Like you're like, okay, is this someone who like I love them, and there's somebody that like I can argue with and handle that argument, and like I like we have the same kind of conflict style, or like am I open to like forgiving them later? Are they, and you see things a little more objectively as you get older. Like I look back at my last relationships and I was like, fuck, like, I should have like never got into those, not because they were bad people, but because it's like we didn't have the same communication
Yeah.
style, or like they wanted completely different things. And that doesn't make them bad people. And I hate it whenever people talk about like their exes. Like, of course, there's like abusive people, but whenever they just always all their exes are bad, I'm like, okay, that doesn't mean that's on you, because that just means like you have terrible taste in people. Like my last ex that I had, I remember like our last conversation was just about like, we could be friends, we could even be fuck buddies, but why it didn't work is because he wanted affirmation and love from a lot of people, and I didn't need that. And he was like, and I was like, that doesn't make you a bad person. The only reason why that makes you look like a bad person in my life right now is because we agreed on monogamy. So it's like that's the only reason. And so it's like not necessarily a bad person, but a bad situation.
Okay. So would you say you prefer monogamous relationships?
Um, I no, I just like open communication relationships. Like whenever it's something that's like it can be talked about and the person doesn't feel like bad about it. Like especially if I'm in porn. So like it's like for me, like if it's something that you talk to that person that you're with and you're like, hey, like I'm gonna collab with this person or like blah blah blah. It like that's not a big fucking deal. The only big deal is whenever you act shameful towards it or try and like lock it away. Um, I think that asking for monogamy whenever from somebody whenever you are actively in porn is kind of a funny. I mean, it's not funny, but that everybody's relationship is totally different. I don't know if I prefer monogamy anymore because I haven't been in a monogamous relationship in a long time. But I feel like things like can change, and there's like times in your life where that makes sense, and there's times in your life where it doesn't.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're saying because it is kind of like, oh, I'm going to go do porn, but I want us to be monogamous. However, that's the type of
Mm-hmm.
relationship I'm in. I don't know. I understand the appeal of like the poly and open and all that. I just like work is separate.
Now, that's what I don't agree on. So that's my main thing. I don't agree in polyamory for me. Now, I can believe in open relationship. Like, you can fuck any bitch, but you are not going to tell her you love her. And you are not going to think she's funnier than me or cooler than me. Like, what? Like, hotter, maybe, but how dare you laugh at her jokes? Like, that is not going to happen. You could have an orgy with every single of the top 10 girls on Pornhub right now. Don't give a fuck. But if I find out you're watching movies with them and hanging out with them,
No?
but I think that's because I value emotional connection when I'm in a relationship with somebody over like that.
Yeah. No, I get it.
But polyamory, yeah. So one time, I guess I had this guy that he was my fuck buddy for like 3 years, and it was so good. It was amazing, right? But we were just fuck buddies. We talked about it. We were just fuck buddies. And I found out after I moved out of state that he was in a relationship, and I asked him about it. He's like, "Well, no, we're like polyamorous, we're blah blah blah." And he had like then I found out he had two girlfriends. I was so mad, not because of he didn't tell me, but because I wasn't even ranked enough to be the third girlfriend. I was like, "What? I didn't make it on his list."
Damn.
I know that hurt. That hurt really bad. I was like, "You motherfucker."
That's what I personally feel like destroys most like poly relationships is because I don't care how perfect two people are. One is going
Mhm.
to be better than the other one because
Of
their
course.
interests or values align better, whatever the reason. And then you get into this comparison game. I fuck that.
No, yeah. Yeah, no. It's which is why I've just kind of like steered clear from like relationships in general while I'm doing this because it's such a murky gray area. And I know it can be navigated like maturely and you can find love in this. And I don't think being a sex worker means you can't be in a relationship at all. I just know for me, it's like I still don't know where I stand on it. So it's like, I don't like, why would I put myself in a situation where I'm not sure
Yeah.
of like what I want? Because I wouldn't want to like switch up on somebody and be like, all of a sudden be like, you know what, it does bother me that you're with this girl or it does bother me with this one. And it just seems too messy.
So I'm curious, so because especially with, there's all this shit going around on social media now about a woman's body
Yeah.
count and all this and that.
I
And
know.
I mean, I will tell you, I've done like 100 of these interviews now, and I can say that dating seems to be the one common thing that it fucks up. Not for everyone, just for
Hmm.
most of the people I've interviewed. So, are you worried about that impacting dating in the future? A guy being like, "Oh, I could never date a porn star." All the kinds of shit.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like in general, like just because even if I wasn't in porn, I would still like let's say I was just doing OnlyFans and solo stuff, I would still be like a sex worker and still like um support like that community and be there for them. So it's kind of like, even if I wasn't doing that, why would I want to be with a partner who's going to judge somebody for doing porn? You know, if anything, it's kind of like, at least I know where you stand
Yeah.
and I can kind of be like, okay. But it's like, no, like, because, but I understand some people can't handle it. Like, that's totally fair. But it's like, I would rather know the people who can't handle it, like right off the bat, than find out years later that, oh, that's how you really feel, you know?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, all you got is yourself. So you got to protect yourself.
So, how has doing porn affected your sex life off camera, positively or negatively?
I guess the positives of it is I feel like I like tried things that like I never really thought to try or whatever, but I've always been sexually competitive anyway, just because like I'm like, what's your kink? I want to try it. Like whatever, you know, it's like I'm pretty much down for like way too many things, honestly. Because I'm just like so curious. I'm a curious little cat. But off camera, I don't know. I honestly haven't really like had a lot of off camera sex since I joined porn. Um, but like I don't know. I think it's kind of fun when I do get to have like off camera sex and everything because I can just kind of go feral and just kind of really appreciate sex for what it is and not have to worry about like how my position. Can you see my asshole? Like all this other stuff. I can just, you know, go ham. Um I don't really feel like it has affected it super positively or super negatively.
Uh-huh.
It's just kind of like
Do you ever look back and think, damn, I should have gotten into this sooner?
no. Because I will say like I mean I joined when I was 25. I'm still 25. Um I like really, really like hold close to my heart like my crazy slutty days where like I was just fucking because I wanted to fuck, you know? And I was like, I wasn't thinking about monetizing it and I wasn't thinking about like, is this a good career choice to like, you know, be with this person? I was just fucking the people I was attracted to and wanted to fuck or people I liked. And so like I feel like I can't speak for other people, but sometimes when I meet like some like younger girls or girls who like never really got to do that and they joined the industry really early, it makes me kind of sad because I'm like, you never had like that like crazy like moment where you could just like, you know, not even think about any of that and just go fucking crazy. Like fuck people in bars and fuck people under the porches or in churches or in parking lots. Like I mean they can still do that, but without like kind of linking sex to money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that happens to a lot
That's
of
just me.
performers, though.
Yeah, because it does change things. Because even like, you know, like sometimes like I'll be talking to somebody or like we'll go out to like, you know, like we're in Vegas to like go out to like a bar or whatever. And I just get annoyed really easily because I'm like, why are you? But I also just like get annoyed when people try to talk to me sometimes. But
Yeah.
it's like talking to men or whatever because I'm like I know exactly what you want. It's like I don't want to do that because like you know like I'm in the industry or like you know like the vibe's not there, and I just feel like my like attention span for talking to like civilian men has like gone. Like it's just not there anymore.
Are we talking about like dates?
Yeah, like dates and stuff like that. Because I'm like, what do you want? You know, like I'm just like always like assuming they like, you know, like what exactly do you want from me? And I'm like, oh, I know what you want from me, but then I'm like, do I really want to give it to you?
Okay.
It's maybe more picky being in porn. I feel like.
All right. No, I mean that makes sense because that was actually one of the questions someone
Hmm.
asked was, "Do you ever get tired of feeling like a piece of meat?" Because I'm sure your DMs
Yeah,
on social media are just nauseating.
yeah. Um. So sometimes, but I do have to say, I don't know if it's because you know I run my own OnlyFans and run my own social media, and so I don't feel like I mean, I'm obviously getting objectified, but at least the fans that like I have on my OnlyFans and other stuff, like they actually like they don't I don't get that feeling, you know. I get that feeling more like I'm a piece of meat when I go like to a bar downstairs and just like you know what I mean? And like just like show up versus like at least in social media, like I can like screen through everything and I don't know, I feel like I'm more personable. Oh, well, not more personable. I'm a person. But I feel like with my social media and everything, because I have a more personable aspect to it and do just kind of like, like obviously sex stuff, but then like tweet the most like obnoxious shit. Like I kind of like garnish like comments and interactions that are more like not as objectifying, if that makes sense. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm just like I don't feel like I'm a human fleshlight as much as I think people think I should feel. I feel more like, I'm Lindsey, I'm this. So no, I feel like I'm objectified more like in the public than online.
Interesting. I mean, that actually
Yeah.
does make a lot of sense, though.
Well, yeah, because like I mean like and I didn't do it on purpose. Like I didn't like tweet or run social media in a way that's more like personable or me or whatever. But I found that like, like my comment section is a little bit different than maybe some people whose manager is running it, who's like always like posting stuff that's like objectifying themselves. So like they're gonna get comments that are always objectifying them. And also, I just don't really care because I just don't see the internet as real sometimes. And so I'm like, if someone's like, "Oh, like I want to taste your booty hole," I'm like, "Oh, okay." like it's the internet. What do you expect?
Yeah. No, honestly, it does break my heart though that you have those experiences meeting up with guys in real life. That's just
It's funny though because it's just I like I feel like I'm like the best cock block for myself. Like whenever they start annoying me, like I like can shoo shoo like so easily. So I started doing this thing. My party trick at bars is I read men's mommy issues. So this guy was like, this happened like a few days ago. I was like, he's like, so what do you do for a living? I was like, I'm a therapist for broken men. And then yeah, yeah. And he was like, no way. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I can diagnose a mommy issues after 5 minutes of just watching you. He's like, no, you can't. I was like, yes, I can. So I looked at him and I said, you have a strained relationship with your mother and it makes you sad because you want it to be better, but you also are ashamed to admit that you're at fault for some things. And you're trying to learn how to accept your relationship with your mom for how it is. And that makes your interaction with women just a little more off putting. And that's why you're quieter in the beginning because you want to see where they stand because you're scared of being abandoned. This man, this man this man looked at me and told me, how did you know that? And I said, because I'm fucking good. And then he said, his birth mother died 3 months ago. And they had an argument right before they died. And so he was never able to apologize. And then he told me that his stepmom and him have been arguing recently. And I was like, taboo porn? But I was like, no, I didn't say that. But I was like, fuck. And I was like, damn. And he left me alone for the rest of the night. So,
damn. Okay.
but yeah, no, like yeah, so that's how if I ever feel like it's getting stale or dull, I'm just like, yeah, I'm a therapist for broken men. And then they're like, blah, 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 blah. No, you're not. And then I'm like, yes, I am. And then I do shit like that.
Wow. That's
But then he, but then he like left. And I guess I hopefully he wasn't crying. I felt really bad. But I don't know. He kept asking me. But then he tried to start talking to me again. And I was like, bro, I charge a rate for this.
Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm a therapist for broken men. I fix boys. I fix lost boys.
Wow. Do you ever tell people in public that you do porn?
Um,
Like, let's say a grocery
Sometimes.
store check or something. Not a guy who's
Oh
trying to fuck.
no, no. Sometimes like if I have like a long fucking Uber ride to set or something, I'll tell the Uber driver because I think it's funny. Because then we'll like be talking about like, oh shit, blah blah. Blah. But and like if I'm like in like certain stores or like in like a makeup store where like I need something that's like going to be durable for sexual intercourse, but I don't necessarily broadcast it. Just and not because I'm ashamed of it, but just because it's like for a lot of I like to respect people's boundaries, and so it's like for some people that's like man, they're gonna make them feel super uncomfortable, and if it's just like a quick interaction, it's like whatever, like you know what I mean. But if it's something that's like oh, like we're talking, we're having a long conversation, and if I feel safe to do it, because unfortunately, some people, whenever you tell them that you're a sex worker, feel like they can treat you any kind of way. Like you're putting yourself out there in a kind of light, so they're free to go and do whatever. So if I feel safe enough, like yeah, I'll mention
Yeah.
it. But
Has Have you ever told anyone had them react adversely,
Yeah.
negatively?
Well, like not I guess not like I guess like he was into it, but I had this Uber driver and basically like I don't know, I was like in Texas for a shoot and he like ended up just like talking to me and I just told him what I did. I was like, yeah, I'm in porn, blah blah blah. He's like, really? He's like, well, I want to get into porn. He's like, so many people told me I should get into porn, blah blah. I'm like, well, you should look into it. I was like, you should like contact people. I'm not a talent scout. And he's like, oh, I really want to do it, blah blah blah. And he was like, do you need to go to Target? And I was like, actually, I do need to go to Target because it was an anal scene, so I need some enemas. I was like, yeah, I need to go get some enemas. So he like didn't charge me and drove me to Target to get some enemas. And was like, follow me around Target, still talking to me about it. And I was like, okay. And then like when we like he took me back to my hotel, he was just like, I just need to show you something. He's like, I just need you to see. And I was like,
Oh
what?
God,
And I
I
knew what he was
already.
about to do. And he pulls out his dick and he was like, do you think this is good for porn? But I'm like, well, I was like, it doesn't really fucking matter what your dick looks like to do porn, dude. Like, I don't know what you're fucking talking about. And he kept on like trying to talk to me. And I was like, I gotta go do some enemas, so I'll see you later. Um, yeah. That's why I stopped telling some people I do porn. Because I'm just like, I'm not like I'm new. I'm a new girl. I don't even know how you get started. Like, just start fucking people in front of a camera and hope for the best. I don't know.
Oh,
But yeah, people suck.
men are shit. What? The,
So funny.
how is that? I'm sorry. I'm just trying to understand how he would think that was acceptable behavior in any world.
I don't know. Because it's like because they think that like, oh, like you do this, so you're not gonna care. And that's how they justify it because they like take themselves like out of that situation. Like for instance, let's say it's like a dad who watches porn because most people watch porn. And why would he have an issue if he's supporting the industry with his daughter doing porn? Well, it's because when he watches porn, he takes the humanity and like the fact that this is an actual woman out of it so he doesn't feel bad.
Yeah.
And so then when he looks at his daughter, it doesn't make sense because it's like, why are you doing something that is like not okay? But in reality, it's because he doesn't look at porn as real, but he sees his daughter as real for most people. But there's also like a lot of different ways. But that's what I found to be kind of true or whatever is because like a lot of people don't look at it as something that's like these are real people and like just doing normal shit. Like just because you do porn doesn't mean you don't like, have diarrhea some days or break out or, it's just like it fucking happens.
Yeah.
But that's also a standard and expectation. I feel like some within the industry, some people have within the industry too. Like, just like that crazy high standard for like girls and guys when they show up on set. Like, what do you mean you have a pimple? Like, or like, what do you mean like this? Like, you guys wasn't in your model pictures. It's like, well, I showed up yesterday. I'm sorry. So it's like, it kind of goes both ways, I think, where it's like within and without the industry, we really need to like just come to terms with the fact that people are human. They're gonna have emotions. They're gonna make mistakes. Like they're gonna not have good days. They're gonna have bad days. But I mean, the world's been turning for a really long time, and it looks like society's never figured that out yet. So I don't know if it ever will.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. People forget that they're people. That it is like a real person. On, I mean, even on social media, people will say some of the cruelest, meanest things ever, and it's like you're
Mm-hmm.
not saying that to a computer. You're saying it to a person.
Yeah, I know. I had this one guy on my Twitter, and I don't know why I read my Twitter DMs. Sometimes I get lonely, so I just go through my Twitter DMs. But he was like, has been bullying me for the past few months because apparently when I put a dick in me, I use my left hand, and I'm a right-handed person, and so like sometimes it's hard to put it in. And he was like, you keep doing it. He's like, I've given up on you. Why do you keep doing that? Blah, 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 blah. And I literally sent him like a voice note. And I was just like, bro, I'm sorry. Sometimes I get excited and I forget. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just a person. I'm like, I thought it was kind of cute. Like, but I was like, whatever. But yeah, some people are like hypercritical. And you're just like, okay, just don't watch it. If it's not your thing, that's totally fine. I don't care. But it's like, why are you trying to micromanage something that you have no control of? And if you were in a situation where a girl was on top of you that you wanted to fuck, and she like, you know, took her an extra 3 seconds to find her pussy, like, you wouldn't be complaining.
Good
So
point.
shut up.
That's a really good point. So I'm curious, kind of along those same lines, how has porn affected your own self image? Like the way you view your self esteem, your self worth, your body, etc.
I think it has good days and bad days. I think just like as a woman from like, I guess, society or the world, like there's always been that pressure to look a certain way anyway. With porn, it's kind of hard because like honestly, it's like I feel like the harshest critic is always going to be yourself, because for me, I'm like, oh, like I need like bigger boobs, or like I wish my stomach was more like flat and like this and like that. And then, but then I never see comments or anything that's like people criticizing that. And I've never really like had anybody go out of their way to say that. So it's like, I can't really say if the insecurities I have with my body is because I'm in porn or if it's just because I'm living in a, a materialistic society.
Mm.
Because I feel like either way, like it's like just the standard for how like people are supposed to look just seems to be like risen every day. Like people as young as like 22 getting Botox, or like, everyone, you have to have hair like this. And that's not even porn. That's just, I was working at a restaurant and things were like that too. So, and it wasn't a restaurant, it was like a cantina where I was like a camp counselor. I was wearing t-shirts and shorts. And there was still that standard of like, and I saw it too, like you need to present yourself in a certain way to be accepted and to make a certain amount of money. So it's like, long story short, I don't know if porn like makes me feel bad about myself sometimes, or if that's just, being a human and living in a world where that's the reality of the situation, is it's a materialistic, superficial world.
No. But do you feel like porn has made you more comfortable with your own body, like compared to how you
Oh
felt
yeah.
before?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's like I'm a lot more just like whatever about like certain things. I'm like, yeah, like I don't care about being naked or not, as like, ah. So there's that aspect of it too.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. You're right though, because, and I think a lot of it stems from social media. People will compare themselves to these airbrush, photoshopped, filtered pictures where someone's actively flexing and they
Hmm.
they don't, they think that's real, and it's like, no, it's not.
Well, and that's the thing too. I was talking to somebody about it, where it's like not only is it like airbrushed and like everything's edited in these pictures, but also in how they tweet, what they're saying about how their day's going, or everything. It's like we're living in a society where even success is superficial, where it's more important to project that success and positivity and that level of like, oh, like I'm all the way up here status wise, than to actually experience it. Because it's like I'll be talking to some people and, being like, oh, like my whole career, I've compared myself to this person. And I'm like, why am I not as successful as them? Why am I not doing things the way they're doing it? And then I actually meet them and talk to them. And I learn that, oh, we're actually not really there's not that much of a gap, but it's just how you market yourself and how you have to project this sense of success to really gain success. And it's a marketing tactic and it works and it's good, but you have to remember that, or else it's going to drive you crazy. Where it's like, I'm not going to compare my any aspect of my life to other people's, because I don't even know if their life is real. All I know is like my reality. So I think that like social media in itself, that is like a big deal too, especially if you're talking about like industry social media, because it's like Lindsay Lakes is Lindsay Lakes, her Twitter's her Twitter, and that is me and that's who I am. But also, it's like I'm not going to go on Twitter and be like, guys, I just like da 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 da, like, because it's like my business. And so you have to remember, like, even if it's like your friends that are in the industry, what they're posting on there, it's like that's not their personal life. That's their stage name, that's their business, that's their persona. So don't compare yourself to their fucking business, because that's not even who they are
Yeah.
to some extent.
Yeah, no, you're right though, because no one. Actually, that's incorrect. I would say most people don't broadcast their problems. I know a few performers who do, and they do not do well.
Exactly. And it's not because it's like I feel like that people don't care or that people aren't like supportive. It's more of like, if your business, your main business on this page is supposed to be your porn and like your persona, then putting on like your personal life issues on there or political issues on there is an interesting move. It could potentially work, but it's also going to distract from your business. It's also going to distract from other stuff. And it's like, it's not about like playing it safe. It's more about, if you want to post that kind of shit, maybe having a separate Twitter account where it's like your safe for work account or your this account. Just so that way, whenever people like a producer or like a potential buyer is going to look through your shit, they are not going to be distracted by
Mm,
anything. They can just see like straight up like what's going on.
yeah.
But yeah, like I see, and like that's the thing too, and it's like you see how like other people are doing shit and like just like posting some stuff, and it's like, is this relevant to this conversation, or like adding themselves in to issues that it's like, this isn't your fight, like this isn't your issue. So that's why I have a lot of people muted. It's, I live a very peaceful life. um it's nice. I gotta say, the mute button on Twitter has saved many of relationships for
So,
me.
what does mute on Twitter do? I've never muted someone. I block people.
What? It's amazing. So you can mute people, and so you're still following them, but you never see any of their tweets ever. But you're still following them. They can still like see your stuff, and it just, it's, for me, it's more of a way. It's like, if I, especially when it comes to people who are posting some shit that's just like, I'm like, it's not bad shit. It's just shit that it's like, I don't want this energy in my head right now. So I just like remove myself from that situation quietly. That way, if I ever have to work with them or ever meet them, it's not, it's not like I'm thinking about, you know, their shitty worldviews.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking like, oh, I know you. You're hot. Let's fuck. Let's, you know, let's keep it going.
yeah. No, damn. I need to start doing that.
Dude, it's amazing. I like sometimes. So what happens is I'll click on a tweet to like read the comments, and I'll go down because there's like 30 comments, but I can only see 5 because I've muted so many people. So I can,
Wow.
so I have to and mindfully and intentionally click to see what the person I muted's comment was.
Okay, I need to
Yeah,
do that because there's
fun.
quite a few people who post way too much political shit, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
yeah, no, I'm not on here for that. Fuck this.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's just not it. It's not the move for me. Especially when it's like I'm going on Twitter, it's kind of like I'm going like, you know, doing a little bit of work shit. So it's
Yeah.
like I don't want to all of a sudden be thinking about like blah 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 blah. Like I just don't want it, and nothing against those people. But honestly, I've never really vibed with people whose main personality was complaining about the world either, because I'm just like, why would I want to hang out with you? Like,
Oh,
I'm just like, there's issues. We all need to be aware of the issues. We need to make a world change. I'm like, you know what's really gonna change the world? If we all just like be nice to each other and do what we want. Like that's the only way it's gonna fucking change. If we're all just like chilling.
yeah. No, I mean you're
Like
absolutely
honestly.
right, and I don't think a lot of those people realize that nobody wants like I've never in my entire life met one person who's like, "Oh, I love being around someone who just bitches and complains all day." No one wants to be around that. Nobody.
I know. It's just like, it's crazy. And it's just like lack of self-awareness too, because it's the same people who will bitch and complain who are always go on rants about positivity. If someone ever tells me like good vibes only, I just know they're a liar. I'm like, okay. And like, and I'm, because like I think that like you shouldn't have to tell people who you are. It should show up in how you treat people and your interactions. Same thing with success. Whenever a guy tries to impress me and is like, oh yeah, I own this business, or I'm a producer for this, or I do this, I'm like, why don't you just let me figure that out? Like, why don't you show me, like, talk to me if you talk to me about the important things. Let's talk about if birds are real or if birds are government agents that are spying on us. Let's talk about like, I don't know. McDonald's, how they used to have salads and they took them away. Like, I wonder why that was. Like, let's talk about things. Let's not talk about like, you know what I mean? And like, I want to be happy for people's success, but I'm the kind of person that if somebody is just telling me all the reasons why they're successful, I don't feel like I'm like, okay, you already like complimented yourself enough, so I have nothing else to add. Like, I'm like, yeah, that's great. Like, I'm happy for you, but you're really, really happy for you right now. So I'm just like, okay.
Oh my god, that is hysterical. And you're absolutely right. Like, because I did escorting before I got into porn,
Hmm.
and I can say 100% of the time, any client I've ever had who is extremely wealthy and successful never talked about it. They never bragged. If anything, they
Hmm.
tried to hide it.
Exactly, because that's what they want. They don't want people to fucking take it.
Yeah.
It's like, I, dude, and it's just like, I guess I don't know if this is related, like related to this at all, but like, I found that like it's kind of annoying whenever people like want to be like, yeah, the guy I'm dating is like super rich, super this, like this. And you're just like, well, is he like, that doesn't mean he's gonna fucking give that money to you, bitch. I'm like, I've been with a guy who was working at a fucking grocery store who offered to pay my rent, who wanted to take care of me. And then I've been with people who have more money than I've ever seen in my life who like have never spent a penny on me. So it's like, just because someone has something doesn't mean they're gonna give it to you. A generous person's a generous person. Just like a good person's a good person. Like, that's just who they are. So it's like basing it off of what you see on paper is not gonna get you fucking anywhere. Like, most of my fans I don't think are rich, but they find ways to like tip me or do
Yeah.
whatever. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. So speaking of which, and you talked about like your type evolving. What is your type? What is your describe your ideal guy?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Build a husband. Build a
There we
husband.
go. I like that term. Build a
Um,
husband.
build a husband. So I guess we'll start out with looks because we already agreed it's a very superficial society. So I see myself with a tall person, not because I think they're more attractive, but because I want D1 babies. I'm 5'9", and why would I waste my tall jeans on the risk that they're gonna have a short baby? Anyway, so preferably pretty tall, but looks wise, I really don't know. Honestly, that's like not even scratch the tall actually, because I kind of like being eye to eye. You know, um, I think it all really goes down to like the vibe and if they do what they say they're gonna do. Like, that's really my only thing. Like, I don't care if you like, if we're just like, if you say like, oh, like I want to take you like on a cruise, like you better fucking take me on a cruise. Like, if you do what you say and you mean what you say, that's really like all it matters. That matters to me. And I think people evolve every day and change, so I understand when plans have to change or whenever people like sometimes look like they're switching up on you, but that's just lack of communication. So it's like if something has to change, that's totally fine. But it's like someone who just fucking communicates. That's all I need. Like, if you're busy, let me know you're busy. I don't want to bother you. Like, I don't care. And somebody who like really likes having anal sex is really important to me because yeah. So as long as they communicate and like having anal sex, like as long as they want to put it in my butt, I'm all good.
Okay, that you got to explain that one.
Well, because some people, it's only happened a few times, but I feel like they're actually like not fans of anal, like doing anal, like not putting it in my ass. They're like, why would I do that? I like the pussy. And I'm like, well, I like the pussy too, but we have two holes. We have two different avenues to
But
explore.
men have their
You know,
prostate up there. Women don't.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I know. I just love it. I think I really like it because when he's like hitting it from the back, I can really rub my clit and everything like that. And I just like to feel, I like, I like to feel it enclosed. I just like to be filled up. So it just makes me feel nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. Anyway,
Damn,
um,
I can't say I've heard too many women say that.
it's just fun for me. I think it's because like I was saying, like I'm like pretty sexually competitive. And so I'm like, how much can I stretch my ass? Like, it's just like, it makes me excited. And it's just fun. Yeah, but I like that more, I guess, just like anything. I like most. I haven't really tried anything sexually that I haven't like super enjoyed.
Okay.
Um, but it's because I'm a partly because I feel like I'm like a pleaser. So if the guy is really into it, it's like a contagious feeling for me. I'm like, oh, I'm fucking into this. Like if someone's excited about something, I'm gonna latch on to that fucking excitement because I'm like, oh yeah, like let's do this. Like let's get it done.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the poop hole loophole?
Never.
Oh my God, about to educate you on some Southern terminology. So in the South, there's a thing called the poop hole loophole, which is you're still a virgin if you have anal sex. So a lot of girls in the South will just have anal sex before they get married because they want to save their hymen for their husband. Um,
What?
and I wonder if I had pussy sex before I had anal sex, but I'm wondering if in like deep in my mind if that's why I love anal sex so much because I'm like I feel like I'm still a virgin somewhere in there if I just
What?
no, it's a real thing.
Wow. Okay. No, it makes sense. I get it.
Yeah, I have this one of my sisters who shall not be named. She was oh so holier art thou. She was the one who's my ex. She was the one who's married to my ex's brother. Holier art thou. How dare you live with someone before you're married, fucking them every day, blah blah blah. Found out, found out. She was out here shoving up a cock up her ass way before she got married. Way before. So you know what I did? I went to the place where she got proposed to, and I fucked at the same exact place where she got proposed to. And um,
Wow.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it was like a little goal. It
No,
was fun.
it seems like those holier now types are always like I would love to see their fucking Google search history.
Oh, I'll tell you what, they do crazy, crazy shit. Like these, like blue collared, like really like quiet, like Southern boys have been like my wildest sex I've ever had. And I'm in porn now, so that shouldn't be a thing. But it's because like whenever they just go crazy. Like I like was like doing like BDSM shit all the time with them. Like they want to have like public sex. They want to do like all this crazy shit. So it's always the ones that are a little more reserved and a little more judgmental that will just like you're like, whoa, okay.
So, is there anything you really want to experience that you haven't yet?
So okay, I have a dream. I have a dream. There's two dreams. Number one is a little more expensive, so I'll start out with that one. I really want to be fucked in a helicopter, like hard, like fucked hard in a helicopter, and I want to like just as I'm about to squirt, I want to be thrown out of the helicopter. Parachute does not need to be included, but would be appreciated. Um,
Okay.
partly because I have a fear kink. I think because like I'm scared of heights, but the whole idea just like excites me and turns me on, and I like to be like with like you know, oh my god, I'm gonna die. So I want to do that, and then I also want to be in an orgy where everybody's split up into two teams, and you get points based off of while you're actively fucking someone if you answer a Jeopardy question correctly. So those are my two
Not
dreams, two things I want to experience.
not passing judgment, but both of those are very unique and very specific.
That's the problem here, which is why I usually just go with other people's kinks because I'm like, if you ask me like exactly what I want, I'm like, hear me out. I got a plan. Um, I don't. Yeah, because I feel like I've already done most of this stuff that you could do sexually, like position wise or whatever. Oh, I kind of want someone to put their foot in my ass. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, that'd be kind of fun.
Jesus.
I just want, I just like, I just want to see how far I can fucking stretch it, man. Because I feel like my ass is more slutty than my pussy, honestly.
You remind me a
My pussy,
lot of one of my exes. Very much so,
like
like, oh my god,
my
I
pussy's
want to go
approved.
experience
My ass is a
anything
slut.
and everything.
Well, mean, why not, man? Like, it's might as well just try it out. The only thing I don't really like is no, I take that back. That was actually was kind of fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I was gonna say I was like, no. But now there is stuff that like I do really like, but I wouldn't necessarily do on camera. Just because, I have to save something for my husband. So like you'll never so some of the kinks are private, but yeah.
No, that was actually some of the best advice I've ever heard. I was interviewing Steve Cruz. He's a legendary director. And that was, he said, always keep something for yourself. Whether it's a piece of yourself, what you enjoy sexually, don't broadcast it, don't
Hmm.
put it on film. Like, you gotta keep something. Otherwise, what's left?
Well, I think so too. It's like some things, it's like you have to have like once you start doing it, like that's going to be like on your yes list pretty much. Like you could take it off, but like they're going to be like, what do you mean? Like you've been eating everybody's ass for the past 3 months, and all of a sudden you don't want to eat ass. Like you know what I mean? So it's kind of like being consistent is like the best business practice in general. So it's kind of like you got to do something that you're going to be okay with doing like every time if you need to.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So, what are your biggest turn offs when it comes to men? Like, what are things that men can say or do where you're just like,
breathe. I hate a man that breathes. How dare you take up oxygen? That's so selfish. No, let's think. Okay, because I know I have a lot of turnoffs. That's the problem. Um, I don't know. I think a lot of it is whenever they just start off the bat listing all the reasons why they'd be a good fuck. I want to figure it out, like and like when they like assume that like this is gonna impress me. I'm just like I hate egos. Like I'm just not an ego girl. Um, that's not my thing. Let me think. Oh, when they smell bad, that's just not really my thing. Uh, oh, I have a lot. It's like that's all coming at the same time. I'm like, oh, so I like body hair. Hear me out. I love body hair. But when you get to that point where it's super like sweaty
yep,
mixed with body hair all over me, sometimes I'll like freeze and I'm like, I can't. I need to take a shower. Like I need to
yep,
think about my life decisions. So
yep. No, okay, I'm curious if you've had a similar experience, kind of with what you just said. It reminded me of this.
yeah.
But, like, I've had well over 1,000 people go down on me in my life. And I can say categorically, straight across the board, every single person who's like, oh my God, I'll give you the best blowjob ever, la, 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 is
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
terrible.
No, yeah.
Anyone who's
No.
just states it as a matter of fact, like, oh yeah, I really like performing oral. It's just something they enjoy doing, but it's not like, oh my God, I'm so good. They're amazing.
So I feel like that's like definitely true, and which is why I just told people like to stop eating me out because it just got depressing. So it's like I don't let most people eat me out because I just like given up hope on men and women. Like I thought that girls would be better at it because like I'm a natural. I don't know. I really am. I don't know what it is, but I can eat pussy, I can eat ass, I can whatever. Ego. But no, but like I don't know. I just thought it's like it's eating. It's a pussy. You have one. Don't you know how to do it? And no. And then men just seem to either give up or they just try to do like a weird penetration thing. And I'm like, why do you think 2 inches of a fucking snail in my pussy is gonna do anything? There's a fucking clit right there. Like, what do you mean? So I just took that off the table for them. And also, some guys have really bad oral hygiene, so it can throw up your pH more than a dick. Whenever they're like going down on you. No, thank you. Maybe one day I'll find someone who actually is good at
You
it,
got to
but
coach.
I just have so many trust issues. I don't want that's my biggest turn off. Teaching people how to fuck me.
I'm not talking about
That's my
fucking. I'm talking
biggest
about
turn off.
oral sex.
But the whole thing, teaching men anything.
Yeah, but
I'm not a
didn't
good
you
coach.
also earlier say You could make your partner hot by getting them to go to the gym or eat more, eat less, or do both.
That's just tactical manipulation. That's not teaching them. They don't know I'm doing
Mm.
that.
But
um,
I'm just saying, from a guy's point of view, you could have a PhD in performing oral on a woman and still have no fucking clue what you're doing. Because men,
of
it's
course.
simple. It's cut versus uncut. But going down on a woman, I mean, I know some women who like a feather light touch. I know other women where they want like sandpaper, like, and everywhere in between. So be a little more patient in that regard.
I'm just looking for the one. I'm just looking for the chemistry, the perfect man that's just gonna know exactly what I need. Like I don't have to tell you what I need, just fucking do it.
Uh,
No, but yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate that like it's come to this point in my life where I just don't even trust people to eat me out. Like it's sad, honestly. So that's why sometimes whenever I'm like, whenever I see them try to go down there, I'm like, sometimes because sometimes I'll just get bored. It really started out with like my second boyfriend. He kept trying to do it, and I would just be laying there, and I would just be like making grocery lists in my head, or just thinking of something else. I'm like filing my nails, like what do you do? Yeah, so maybe one day,
hopefully.
and then I'll come back on here and I'll tell you, I'm like, I found someone who eats my pussy like it's a fucking Thanksgiving dinner, and it's great.
All right. So, what does the future look like for you? I mean, you're still a baby. Where do you want to be in 5, 10,
Oh,
20 years?
I want to like basically just be like, you know, completely financially set for myself, like as in like, really get out of debt, get my finances in straight. I want a dog, and I want to like just be like completely independent. Um and I guess like career wise, like I don't really know because I think that like, I just like I don't like to set like necessarily like goals and stuff that like I'm not in complete control of because I feel like that's how depression starts. So it's like I just want to keep like doing what I'm doing, keep having a good attitude, keep showing up, and then just like treat every shoot like it's a blessing and just see where it takes me. I feel I don't want to get caught up in the whole thing of like, oh my god, why haven't I worked for Brazzers? Like, like I don't want to get like I don't want to be like that. Like I just want to have fun and just do my thing and you know live life to the fullest. Live, laugh, love. You know.
Oh. I mean, being gratitude or having an attitude of gratitude, I think, is extremely important. And
Mm-hmm.
just having like that positive, happy mindset that you seem to have, I don't know. I think, at least for me personally, that is the single most attractive trait someone can have. Period.
Yeah, because I mean, like, it should be fun. Like, like when you walk on set, it should be a fucking good time. And, like, we get to fuck on camera. What? That's fucking cool. And then it's like, just like, you know, you have that moment where it's like everybody, just make it like a fun experience. And I mean, some days are going to be harder than others, or, you can't control other people are. So maybe they don't have the vibe. But if they don't have the vibe, you just got to, mind yourself and just, make sure that you're still doing good because some days are hit, some days are a miss, but it's like at least it's another fucking day. And realistically speaking, if you have a day that's a miss, more than likely the next day is going to be a hit. So, you can't get caught up in the L's.
Yep. So true.
Tony Robbins.
Oh. So, okay. Anyone who's watching this interview who's like, oh my God, I love and adore Lindsey, where can they find all your social media, your fan sites, anything and everything?
Yeah. So, my Twitter is probably the easiest to find. It's exo Lindsay Lakes. And then my OnlyFans is Lindsay After Dark. Mysterious. And then I have an Instagram. I don't really post on Instagram that much though. I'm scared of the meta universe.
Why?
Because meta, I feel like meta, it's like so easy to get banned or get kicked off of it. So I post like the most vanilla stuff too. I'm just like, and I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna get banned for that. But yeah, I also have an Instagram. It's Lindsay Lakes. So Lindsay with an E, the E for easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, well, I had a great time talking to you
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
You're like a fucking human Red Bull.
Yeah. That was actually, I do an exit interview every time someone breaks up with me. So I asked my ex, I was like, so like, how would you like rate me? Like, what would you say? And he was like, gives great head, too much energy. So it checks out. Yeah.
Too much energy? That's a bad thing?
Some people can't hang, man. Some people can't hang.
Yeah, no, okay, now that I think about it, you're right, because a lot of guys are easily intimidated or threatened by. Hey guys, just want to say thank you for watching this video, and if you did really enjoy it, I just wanted to mention there are two ways that you can help to support this channel. On the right side, there are three little dots. If you click those, there is a super thanks button, and on the left-hand side, there is a join button where you can join this channel. There are three different tiers of memberships. The top tier does actually allow one-on-one messaging with me via Discord, and I personally answer that. It is not a service. That's just, both of those are ways that you can help support me as a content creator in this channel. I mention this because YouTube is by far the thing that I enjoy doing the most. It's the thing I'm most passionate about. And unfortunately, a lot of the sexual videos, the porn star confessions, the Dom sub, all that stuff, it is not monetized due to the nature of the videos. But either way, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I hope you guys all have an absolutely amazing week. I love you all.